Betsy Swain, a story still unfolding. If you want to explore the story behind this video, you'll find full sources and show notes in the description. And if you enjoy these deep dive videos, consider supporting me at buymecoffee.com/CorrieStories. Thank you. Betsy Swain entered Coronation Street in the summer of 2024. Unlike so many characters who are given dramatic entrances filled with scandal or explosive storylines, Betsy arrived quietly, almost unassumingly. Introduced as the teenage daughter of Detective Sergeant Lisa Swain, she appeared at first to be just another background player in Weatherfield's ever-expanding cast of residents. Yet, within weeks, it became clear she was something more, a character who would steadily thread her way into the very heart of several storylines. Her presence in Underworld immediately gave her grounding. As a young machinist on work experience, Betsy's skills were undeniable, even if her reliability was not. She skipped shifts, came in late, and showed that headstrong streak familiar to any parent raising a teenager. Still, when she was on the floor, she proved capable and talented, establishing herself as more than just a disruptive influence. In a soap that thrives on generational conflict, Betsy as rebellious spirit clashed perfectly against her mother Lisa as duty-bound discipline as a police officer. Yet it was her emotional backstory that gave her immediate depth. Betsy was not just Lisa's daughter. She was also the daughter of the late Becky Swain. Growing up without her second mother left scars that manifested in her actions. Beneath the sarcasm and the skipping shifts was a teenager grappling with grief, testing boundaries and searching for belonging in a world that had already taken so much from her. This subtle layering ensured that, even when Betsy wasn't at the center of a dramatic cliffhanger, she still resonated with viewers paying attention. From the very beginning, Betsy carried the contradiction of being both ordinary and extraordinary. Ordinary in the sense that she was a teenager like so many others, cheeky, mischievous, stubborn. Extraordinary in that her every small action had ripple effects across Weatherfield, sometimes pushing others to act, sometimes highlighting flaws in the adults around her. She was, right from the start, a character with potential, a slow burn addition whose quiet entrance masked the storm she would later bring. Betsy's first major storyline came in the form of a moral test. She spotted solicitor Joel Deering behaving suspiciously with her friend Sabrina. Where others might have dismissed his interest as harmless, Betsy's sharp instincts told her otherwise. She pocketed his business card, not knowing yet that this small action would pull her into one of Weatherfield's darkest plots. At first, she leaned into mischief. Using the card, she attempted to blackmail Joel, a move that was bold, dangerous, and entirely in line with her rebellious nature. She wasn't doing it for fame or fortune, but because she had sensed something wasn't right. This was a teenager experimenting with power, crossing lines she didn't fully understand. The audience saw both her courage and her immaturity in those moments, a combination that made the storyline both tense and deeply human. But Joel wasn't a safe target. He turned on Betsy, cornering her in an alley and physically assaulting her. The bruises he left behind weren't just physical. They were a reminder of the danger she was in. Betsy could have retreated, silenced by fear. Instead, she did something braver. She told her mother, Lisa, and she brought her evidence to the police. It was Betsy's intervention that helped expose Joel for the predator he was, protecting Sabrina and Lauren from his manipulation. This storyline was a turning point for Betsy. She went from being the cheeky teen at the factory to a young woman, willing to put herself at risk to protect her friends. It revealed a moral compass beneath the rebellion, showing that her instincts weren't just about mischief, but about justice. In many ways, she mirrored her mother Lisa, the detective who upheld the law, but Betsy did it her own way, with teenage defiance and reckless bravery. Betsy's life wasn't defined only by triumphs. It was marked by tragedy. Her friendship with Mason Radcliffe was complicated from the start. Mason was trouble, Everyone knew it. Yet Betsy saw something in him, or perhaps she simply gravitated toward the thrill of being near someone who defied authority even more boldly than she did. Theirs was a connection that could have led her further down a dangerous path, but Mason's story ended in blood. Stabbed by his own brother, his death rocked the younger generation of Weatherfield, and Betsy was left shattered. Her grief was not theatrical. It was raw, confused, and entirely believable for a teenager who had believed in someone only to lose them violently. She carried guilt, wondering if she could have done something differently, if her choices had in some way contributed to the tragedy. The heartbreak brought out a different side of Betsy. She wasn't just the bold teen taking risks. She was a young woman confronting mortality head-on. In those episodes, audiences saw her vulnerability laid bare. Her sharp tongue softened, her energy dimmed. And for the first time, she looked less like a rebel and more like a child forced to grow up too quickly. In Mason's death, Betsy's character deepened further. She became a vessel for grief, showing how tragedy touches not only central figures, but also the quieter characters around them. Through her tears and her anger, viewers were reminded that Coronation Street is built on realism, that teenagers, too, suffer losses that shape their futures in ways we can't always predict. Then came the storyline that changed everything, the shooting. In early 2025, during a hostage situation orchestrated by Rob Donovan, Betsy Swain fired a shot meant to save Carla Connor. In the chaos, that bullet struck Betsy, her own daughter. The consequences were devastating. Betsy survived, but she was left with nerve damage in her arm. Doctors warned of long-term complications. For a teenager already carrying grief and loss, this new trauma threatened to break her spirit. Yet it was the emotional fallout that struck hardest. Betsy confronted Lisa with words that cut to the bone. "Your job is more important than me." In that moment, their fragile relationship fractured. For Lisa, the guilt was unbearable. For Betsy, the betrayal was raw. She was a child who had been wounded by the very person meant to protect her. The storyline wasn't just about physical injury. It was about the shattering of trust, the redefining of family bonds under extraordinary pressure. Betsy's anger was fierce, her hurt palpable, and her resilience remarkable. Even as she healed, Betsy continued to act out, lashing out at Tracy Barlow by destroying her flowers, being caught up in a car crash, pushing boundaries to prove she was still in control of her own life. Each action was both rebellion and survival, a teenager demanding to be seen after feeling invisible in her own mother's priorities. Despite everything she had endured, Betsy's compassion continued to shine through. When Carla Connor faced kidney failure, Betsy stepped forward with an extraordinary gesture. She offered half of her inheritance from her late mother Becky to help fund Carla's transplant surgery. It was a moment that revealed the depth of her empathy, proving that beneath the bravado and rebellion lay a heart capable of immense generosity. This act wasn't just about money. It was about connection. In giving to Carla, Betsy was giving back to the community that had both hurt and held her. She was demonstrating that even as a teenager, she could carry responsibility and compassion beyond her years. It was a glimpse of the woman she might one day become. At the same time, Betsy began digging deeper into her family's past. She discovered files that hinted at corruption surrounding Becky Swain's death, raising suspicions that the truth had been hidden from her. Determined to uncover what really happened, she even visited Logan in prison to demand answers. Each step pulled her further into dangerous territory, threatening to expose secrets her mother desperately wanted to keep buried. These investigations positioned Betsy not just as a supporting player, but as a driving force in unfolding storylines. She was no longer simply reacting to events. She was actively pushing them forward, asking questions others feared to ask, and putting herself at risk in the process. As of 2025, Betsy Swain remains one of the most intriguing younger characters on Coronation Street. She has endured more in a year than many characters face in a decade. Blackmail, grief, assault, betrayal, physical trauma, and the uncovering of family secrets. And yet, she remains resilient. She continues to show up at Underworld, continues to challenge her mother, continues to push the boundaries of what it means to be young in Weatherfield. Fan theories swirl around her constantly. Some speculate she could be pregnant, caught between Dylan and Brody in a storyline that would once again test her resilience. Others fear she could become the next target in the dangerous web surrounding Rob Donovan and Becky's past. Whatever the truth, one thing is certain: Betsy's story is far from over. She is not a relic of the past, nor a character destined to fade into obscurity. She is living, breathing, evolving right now on the cobbles. Each week brings new challenges, new conflicts, and new opportunities for Betsy to show why she matters. She is the embodiment of the fact that Coronation Street's strength lies not only in its legends, but in its willingness to give depth to its youngest and most vulnerable characters. Betsy Swain is a force in motion, a character still finding her place, still shaping her story, still demanding to be remembered. Watching her grow is not just intriguing, it feels essential. A reminder that the future of Weatherfield lies as much in its quiet teenagers as in its most iconic residents.